you are just tuning in, you are listening to Level Up Nation with myself, Stacey Prayer, your host, and co-host Dustin Pritchard of the Dustin Pritchard Real Estate Team. And today we are talking to our special guests, Scott and Devin. Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going. We are winning the day. You?
Pretty good. Can you please share with our audience your official titles of your business?
Yes. And they are official, right?
They are official. They are on the card. So our company is called Outside the Box. We call it OTBX for short. I am the CEO and founder, but go under a title on my card as Mover and Shaker.
Sweet.
Well, and they, I guess, self-proclaimed, I'm Devin Keller. They call me the Grand Poobah of market relations. So really just kind of the comedian of the crew, I guess, the class clown.
That's awesome.
Every business.
Did your mom give you that title, or?
The internet did, actually.
The internet.
We literally, actually, it's funny. We actually literally did sit in a boardroom once Devin got started with us, and we just hashed out a bunch of different title names for Devin. We were like, he's going to work with clients, but not just clients, also working with our photographers. And so what is the right, so we knew this market relations was the right title, and then we were kicking stuff around, and all of a sudden we stumbled on, what about the Grand Poobah? And we did a quick Google search. Fred Flintstone came up. We were like, sold, done. That's it.
That's amazing.
That's so cool. I actually live in a 1,000 square foot stone cottage. You can see the stone behind me. So, they call us the Flintstone house and stuff like that. So it's somewhat fitting.
You
Is her
resonate.
name Wilma?
She's a redhead.
Yeah.
That's why I'm laughing. I'm like, actually,
No, realize she's a redhead in the stone house, right?
Yeah.
And I used to be a much bigger boy too. So it was like perfect. It was like Fred and Wilma living in the stone house.
Yeah. Should wear your orange shirt, though.
Yeah.
I'm
I had an orange shirt.
a little bit disappointed, okay? I was hoping for a shirt.
I'll do better next time.
Yes.
You need to level up.
Yeah. you need to level up, mister. This is unacceptable.
I know.
All right, I'll work harder. I'll work harder at it.
I'm like, any tips for me? Wait, I don't want that.
No. So out of the box, that's a very cool logo. So it's OTBXair, right? So what's your business? What's going on? So what's OTBXair?
Sure. So we basically got started about 3 years ago. So it'll be 3 years this July 2020 that we did our first transaction. This was a brainchild of mine that got started under the influence of my 15-year-old nephew.
Wow.
We were watching him and his brother and sister for a couple of weeks while their parents were in Italy 3 years ago. And he introduced me to these drones. So, as a cool uncle, he said, like, Uncle Scott, check out this cool new drone that's coming out from this company called DJI. And I took a look at these drone videos, and I was like, this thing's really cool. And, I'm not sure if you're an uncle, Dustin, or not, but if you've got nephews or nieces, you gotta maintain that best uncle, ever award title. So I was like, you know what, we should totally get one. Like, we should just buy one. So we checked into it. There was a hobby shop. You could pre-order. It wasn't coming out for another couple months. Didn't need to put any money down, but they were like $1,500. Like, it was a significant thing. So I'm like, we'll deal with that in a couple months. Let's go to the hobby store. We'll put our name down and order one. And over the course of the 2 months, it got me thinking, like, how are we going to pay for this thing? What are we going to do? And where would you fly a drone? Well, you would fly a drone for, real estate comes to mind, right? Well, we'll do real estate listings, photo and video. Great, with the drone. But who's going to hire a 15-year-old kid to do it? He's got this drone, he's 15, he's doing it after school. I'm like, what if I brought him the job and he flew it and we split the difference? And I just, sometimes when you have an idea and it just sits with you, you can't let it go. It was one of those. And I just started really thinking about sort of, could we essentially Uberize the drone space? And at a very high level, we started doing some basic, kind of research into what would that look like. And we quickly realized that you really needed to be in the photography space if you were going to be in the drone space. Drones needed for maybe, 10% of the average listings, but photography is needed on 100. And so it's an add-on service, not a primary service. And so then I started doing the math, started really looking at the size of the industry. and just loved the sort of the cyclical nature of real estate and how many listings there are, how there's an increasing demand for more photo, video, drone work, and how photographers and drone pilots are both in the same boat. They've got the gear, they've got a passion for shooting, they've got a passion for the creative, but they tend to hate the sales, they hate the admin, they don't like the pitching. So it was like, if you could, create a company that you could, create a team and bring them the business and make it super simple for agents and other people who needed the service, then I felt that there was an opportunity to win. And when I really looked at what was going on in photography and videography, you could really see it was a very fragmented industry. It's very ma and pa sort of thing. There's not a lot of, you can't name a national brand leader who is doing this. And so this vision was born, and it just resonated. I couldn't let go of it. I was like, there's something here and we need to pursue it. And so a friend of mine who was a realtor at the time, we got talking. He's like, we gotta help agents think outside the box. This outside the box concept was born. We weren't really sure what we were going to do with it. So we partnered on the business and launched what we called OTBXair, and it has evolved a lot since then.
So is this where you're like, have you met my business partner, Devin?
Yeah, probably a good segue. So yeah, I mean, just to kind of carry on the story there. So Nick and I incorporated the business in December of 2016. And over the first 6-7 months, we basically built the entire business. And then we went live on July 1st of 2017 and did our first transaction on the 3rd. So it was like, for any entrepreneurs out there, when you create something from scratch and you have an idea, a price point, you create a website, you have a team ready, you've got infrastructure, you're ready to go, and then you turn it on and you're literally waiting to see, like, will they respond to the ad? Will they book online? What package will they book? Like, are our assumptions correct? And I'll never forget our first client, Anita Patel. She doesn't even know she's our first client. I talk about her all the time.
Oh,
she,
that's cool.
Had a listing with us in Milton, and and we had no idea what we were doing. I mean, we were learning. And over time, Nick decided he wanted to pursue a career in real estate full time. So he moved on, and one of our clients was this guy by the name of Devin Keller, who was an agent out of basically in Dundas, Hamilton, Ontario. Devin and I met at a golf tournament, and a real estate golf tournament, and we just connected. A lot of people think we're brothers because we kind of look a little bit alike, but we're not. We're doing an Ancestry.ca deep dive because we want to make absolutely sure.
You probably should just do a DNA test.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
your mom
and then Devin, maybe you can pick up the rest. I mean, pick up kind of how Devin got involved. So that'd be great.
Well, I mean, I guess it's like a personal story in the sense that we met at the golf tournament. We started talking. I'd actually seen their Instagram stuff, and I needed to do something new, right? I mean, I was newer in the business. I didn't like how things were done. I'm not about door hangers. I don't do that stuff. I'm not a door knocker.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not my style. I'm a relationship builder. So, when you're competing against teams that are, 100, 200 deals a year, and you're just getting into the business, it's not an easy grind, right? So you start thinking outside the box. You got to start doing certain things. So I invited Scott to Dundas. We drove around Dundas. I said, listen, I have this idea. If you think of those Betty White commercials on Hollywood, it's like you think who you think we really are and all this kind of stuff. So that the idea kind of started from there. We drove around, and then literally I showed Scott around. He had these ideas, showed him different spots. We came out, we filmed a couple of things. At the ending, I was in the video, and we basically came up with a video about Dundas and like threw it on the internet, and it did really well. But what I got from it was the editing portion of it, the relationship that I built with Scott, it kept me coming back for more. So we did more and more videos, more and more listings I got, and it was like not your average video. It wasn't like, look at this house. It was like me in a bathtub in a house coat,
throwing toilet paper at a school, riding a dinosaur at the park.
So but Scott, what happened was Scott and I would just start creating things. And there was times where like Scott and I would literally like out of the blue just start calling each other and talking about like different kinds of videos and stuff we could do. So it got to a point where I was just like, you know what? like the real passion that I have is the creativity, the relationship building. I'm a better business to business relationship person, and I believe in Scott. I mean, I tell you right now that man right there is much more than somebody who bought a drone with his nephew. There's a visionary, there's a creator, but more than anything, there's a leader. And I don't think that most people could recognize that about a business, that, you know, a true leader. Like, this man is up early in the morning on the operations. He's in the creative meetings. He's on the podcasts. He's just everywhere, wherever he needs to be, he does it. So, but it's that kind of intent that really got me into it. And as I started looking into it and like believing and visioning myself in the business, really, it was just a common thing to just literally sit down and say, okay, I'm coming in. Like, what do I need to do? And basically start helping with some of that stuff. So becoming part of everything that way. And that's basically how I got into it. And now I live, eat, and breathe it. My life is not going to be without it. It's never been better, to be honest. So,
and that's how you know that it's something that just fits, when you wake up every morning and you can't wait to get to it. I always call Dustin the machine because I don't know if you guys have seen Bert Kreischer's stand-up gig on Netflix, where the Russians call him the machine because he just keeps going and going and going, and he can keep drinking vodka. Well, Dustin's vodka is business. So he can just keep going and going and going. So what you were saying about Scott, it's the same thing for me when I look at Dustin. Like, the man never stops. I'm like, I just did this, 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 and this. And he's like, oh yeah? Well, I did this, this, this. And damn, you're good. So, but it's awesome. When you find that synergy, like you guys, obviously it wasn't just a bromance at the golf course. It was a synergistic experience where you guys were like, you're like, yeah, 50-50, there's a little bromance going on a little bit.
Just a little bro love. Just a little bro
wife
love.
wouldn't like it.
Anyways, no, I think that's awesome. I think that's a really cool beginning story. I also, Scott, have to keep my cool aunt status, so I've not bought my nieces or nephews anything for $1,500 or pimped them out yet, but they are still young. They're under.
Or started a business around the concept or anything like that. No.
I mean, like, they're under 5, so
Right.
but that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm totally gonna R&D that.
There you go.
Can I ask a question? Guys, can I ask you a question? Because, you know, this is really interesting. So we just had 2 people part of our team. So I'm speaking directly to Scott here, right? So Scott, like, we've got 2 people a part of our teams that have just given us some pretty awesome kudos. And thank you. Thank you so much for that. And I know that you feel the same way. But as a leader, that is not the symptom, but that is basically the result of having a very positive culture within your team and your environment. What do you do on a daily basis, aside from be everywhere and doing all kinds of crazy things that most people can't or are not willing to do? What are you doing to drive that kind of culture?
I think it's a lot of it, as you know, stems from the top, right? It's the vision of what you want and a willingness to work hard and pursue it, and really make sure we've got the right people on the bus. And the thing that I would say I'm the most proud of is the team. I mean, like, when I look at everybody who is on our team, like, they're top-notch people. So if you don't want to work with us, like, good luck finding another team that's got anything, you know, similar to what we've got here. We just got great people. And we've made some mistakes along the way. Like, no business is perfect. We've had people who just don't fit the culture.
What? You don't say?
Right? We've got people who don't fit the culture, or maybe it was the wrong hire, or we didn't do enough, due diligence to make sure that they added the right kind of value to the team that we wanted. And we learn from this kind of stuff. But I think it's, there's this idea of, I think a lot of people on the team, sometimes they think like, well, Scott's the boss, I work for Scott. It's like, it's the other way around for me. It's like, I go to work every day for them. Do you know what I mean? So it's like that extension of family. Like, it's like, I've got an obligation to see our business succeed so that we can help, the families that are part of our team succeed. And so that's nice. It's nice. Like, you don't do it. I don't do it for accolades. It's not like, it's great to hear Devin say that, and it means a lot, but like, it's not the reason that I do it. It's nice. I'm not trying to achieve that, but at the end of the day, like, it tells you that I guess we're doing something right, which is awesome. So
Absolutely. You are doing something right. If you're getting that kind of response from your people, if you're getting the love from your people, then you're doing something right. You're a servant leader, right? So that's one of the things that I personally believe in, the same philosophy. And you can tell what kind of leader you have when by how your people react and how they respond and how they deliver value to the consumer and things like that. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Well, I think it's also setting expectations too, right? Of like what's acceptable and what's not. What do we want this culture to be like? And we talk about it a lot. Like, I think we're very upfront about it. It's like, this work is not creative enough. This is not acceptable. This is not OTBX. This is not outside the box enough. We need to push the envelope here. But we also invite that crazy in, right? It's like, we are not concerned with, like, if you've got a problem with Devin's title or the fact that he's going to wear a baseball cap to come and meet with you in a meeting, like, then we're not the right company for you, and we're okay with that, you know?
That's awesome. Now,
100%.
guys, I wanted to ask real quick, do you find that being closer to a larger market like Toronto, and because there is such a huge creative hub in those areas, do you find that there's more liberties that you can take, or that you have to compete a little bit more with people always trying to go out of the box? Like, I find Toronto, I lived in Toronto for about almost 9 years. So everybody was trying to outdo everybody all the time. How do you guys find that? I mean, it's a little bit different for us here in London.
Well, to be honest with you, yes, there are a lot of creative people here. There's a lot more agents here. But there's a lot of people that just notice us based on, like, smaller town agents, based on the fact that they want to be different even in a small town because they're going to get noticed more. So, and it's not
bigger fish in a smaller pond, right?
correct. And I think it's just everywhere though. And I think when you start getting into our years of real estate, and what I mean by that is real estate is it's an older business. So with us, like the four of us here, as us moving forward into the business of, we'll just say real estate now, because OTBX does corporate culture stuff as well. So, when it comes to moving into real estate, right now is a huge transition period for real estate. How does that real estate agent get noticed? How do they become different? How do they become more socially noticed in the sense of, like, what makes them, what sets them apart? Everybody can do a video. Everybody can do a social media post. It's as easy as going on your phone, pressing that little circle button there and recording something. It's that easy, right? That's the secret. What's behind it is the creativity and the value and entertainment you're bringing. So people are scared sometimes to think outside the box. I think in Toronto, maybe there's a little bit more willingness to do it, but I think in places like London, it would be an even better opportunity for agents to actually do something like that. So we are in smaller areas. We are expanding immensely. And I would have to tell you that in the smaller areas that we're in, we would see reciprocal energy to creativity as we do in the GTA.
Amazing. Now, this brings me to my next point. Sorry, Dustin.
I was just saying,
For those who are watching, they would get that, but for those who are listening, it's things that make Dustin go,
Yeah.
My next question for these lovely gentlemen, how did you do your pricing strategy? Being in your market where you're at, and then being kind of sandwiched in between two different kind of
demographics.
How did you establish your price point? Were you kind of being disruptors in the market and going for a discount, or were you doing prestige pricing? Like, how has that morphed from your beginning to now?
So in the beginning, we did a ton of research and literally looked up every single photographer, videographer, drone pilot we could find online in the area, and literally put together an Excel spreadsheet of comparison data. And it's very hard because in our space, everybody kind of prices things based in different packages. So you have these different kind of groupings. So you could find some things, maybe it's like basic photo, that's one thing, but some people would say, well, I'll charge this much and you'll get 30 photos. And the next person will say, well, I'll charge this much, but it's for spaces up to 2,000 square feet. Well, you can't compare apples to apples. So we literally dissected it and came up with basically a law of averages. So we could figure out, okay, this is kind of the average number. And then we worked back. I think one of the unique things that we did a little bit different is, you got to remember, I went into this business. So we are in the photography and videography space, and I own this company. I don't take pictures. I'm not a photographer. I'm not a videographer. I'm not the guy behind the lens. So it's a very different model from a lot of companies, right? I knew like I've got to pay, I need a salary for myself. We need to scale and grow. We know, we drill down on what are client acquisition costs. How are we going to find them? What are we going to do? What's the lifetime value of a client? We're very analytical in that data in terms of like, we could tell you exactly, the average revenue that we receive per job, per week, per month. We can see those trends. We can see the repeating clients. So we have a lot of data. So it's very data driven. But I also, I came out of a space where when I was 16, grade 11, my entrepreneurial journey kind of began there because I was in an entrepreneurship class, and my grade 11 teacher asked us to create a business plan. So I created a business plan on paper for this assignment to do mobile car cleaning, mobile detailing. And I love the business plan. I'm like, this is like smart. I should do this. And I basically created a business. And I ran that business for 9.5 years. It was my post-secondary. I had 2 locations and about 15 employees, and I ran this. That was my post-secondary. And so coming out of that business, one of the things that always stuck with me was this idea that if I could go back and do it again, we used to charge $150 to clean a car top to bottom. If I could go back, if I could change anything, I would have doubled my rate to $300 a car, and I would have lost half of my clients, but half of them would have stayed. And I would have done half the work and made the same amount of money. And so I have always sold on premium and value, not on price. But in this particular case, agents are, there's a bit of a mindset shift here. So a lot of agents will look at a listing and they'll go, okay, this listing is $250,000 and therefore my commission is X, and therefore I'm only going to spend this amount on marketing. Oh, this home's $1 million, I'm going to spend this. And so there's this kind of disparity. And I think we've really taken an approach to educate agents and say, you want to know what? You're looking at it wrong. You really are. It's like spend the same amount of money on that 250 and use it to create brand awareness and pick up the next listing. It's not about selling that one. It's about using that listing as an opportunity to say, this is why we're the best. This is what we do. And so I'm not interested in being the cheapest guy in town, but we are not the most expensive in town either. So we kind of fit in that sweet spot, but I would say we're probably on the higher end, and I'm okay with it because our clients use us because of the value. They see the value, and you kind of take away that. I think of the number of calls that come in where we don't even, like, price isn't even that's not even the issue. It doesn't even come up.
I like that because we actually just did a podcast on saying no. And what you're doing is you're actually saying no to a certain clientele, but at the same time, you're educating your clients to educate realtors that some of your listings are going to be lost leaders. Some of your listings are going to get you more listings because you deliver such a great service. It's not about your ROI on a per listing basis. You need to think holistically. You need to think big scale, annual, quarterly, so that you can break down your sales and drive more sales and more business. It's not just about making profit off of one deal.
You got it.
When I think part of that too is to understand that, especially when it comes to the mindset of how realtors think, you have to think of it as like, okay, I do 20 listings a year, not this listing, and this listing. So that's your overall yearly income. What are you spending on marketing? That's what you need to do and budget out that way. As a business, we've now created value based on how we help businesses grow. We don't just do the listings. Now we're into social media. It's like because you guys have a primary group of entrepreneur listeners, I would like to hit home on this point. And it's not about, being the most expensive or being the less. And if you listen to Seth Godin, he'll tell you want to be the most expensive because you're creating a market that doesn't exist. And Tesla's done it. Everybody's done, like, these big people have done it. Apple, they've all done it. And it doesn't matter how much it costs. It's the experience that you bring with it. So it's like the customer experience is there. They're going to use you. And it's not going to be about price. They might talk about it a bit. It's not going to be about it though. But you mess up on the product. You don't deliver what you say you're going to deliver. The experience isn't there. They get told off by somebody in the team. Yeah, they're not going to use you anymore. So it's not about the price. You have to value yourself up here because your experience in the business matters more than anything. But it's the relationships you build with somebody that creates value to what you offer. And when you offer exactly what you say you're going to offer, then it's endless. It's endless. We could charge, I could tell you right now, we could up the prices on our packages $150, and every single one of them, our clients would stay with us.
That's amazing.
Because we have that team that believes in that experience. Our whole team believes in it 100%. They all buy in. It's a team effort. There's no one person that does one thing any more than the other person. So
That's
when
awesome.
you have that, yeah, and sorry to I know you're going to ask another question, but I feel like people need to hear that in a business. It's not just our business. Any business you think about, especially if you're a Gary Vee follower, jab, 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 right hook, right? Get Grant Cardone, you 10X it. It's all about the relationship. That's what it is. And when you build that and that experience, it's the referral-based business. That's what it becomes.
Yeah, and for anyone who's just tuning in, guys, you are listening to Level Up Nation with myself, Stacy, and Dustin, and the guys that we're speaking to are Devin and Scott from Out of the Box. We are almost out of time, guys. Do you have any final thoughts to wrap up on what to do when you're starting off a business? How to level up your business? Devin, I think you just did a really good wrap up right there. Scott, do you have any final thoughts?
So just Stacy, so the question was what to do when starting up a business.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few things for me that I would definitely look at in any business. I think, first of all, it's got to be something that excites you. You've got to be, you got to have a vision for where you want to go. I think big, or think small. Like, it's okay. People, and we deal with this all the time in this business, right? We've got photographers who can carve out a nice 6-figure living doing photography on their own, and they're very alone, and that's fine, and they're full every day, and they're happy and satisfied, and that's amazing. But I don't think do not be afraid to have that vision to say, you know what, like, what does it take to become the biggest and the best in the game? And that's been my vision since the beginning. And I look at a few things with our space. Our space has some key things that I really like. We can duplicate the business. So the duplication and scaling is important for me. And so I really like that in the space. I like this, that there's, a year-round business. This business is I'm not selling ice cream in February, right? It's like, you got to use your head. I don't have brick and mortar. I don't have a ton of overhead. Our model, we don't own equipment. We work with photographers who have their gear, and we just put them to work and help go and, provide value. We pivot, we adapt. Like, the way we started is not the way where we are today. There's so many things that have changed that are different, and that's okay. I think, but you've got to be prepared to put in the hard work. Like, there is no question. It is hard. Like, there's easy days, but it's hard work. You've got to know kind of what you want and be determined to chin up and know that there's going to be some days that are great days and some days that are really tough, and I think it's those tough days that push us through into becoming a great company and being the best in class and in the game. And so, yeah, I think care about your people, share your success, focus on culture, take care of your customer, love what you do, charge fairly, pay yourself, don't be afraid to take out a salary. Pay
yourself. You ain't working for free, right?
Right.
Right.
So there's a lot. There's a lot there. So yeah, when you start, and lean on others, lean on other people who have been there, who have done it, other people who have started, even if it's in a different industry, and network. If there's one thing I can leave with, meet as many people as you can and fill up that LinkedIn account of yours with as many connections as you can, because those connections will open doors one day to places that you don't even know, maybe when you're in a different industry. So yeah, there's a few things.
Awesome. Thank you.
Just one or two.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for your final thoughts. Again, it's been amazing talking to you guys about out of the box. I think that's a great story. I really love everything that you guys shared, and I love that it started with family and that you've built a company, and it is a culture based on family where you serve your employees, I guess, or your independent contractors. Dustin, do you have anything else that you'd like to wrap up?
I do. You know what, Scott, you a lot of final thoughts there, and that was perfect. You know what I like the most about your business model is your business model. You recognize that there is a need. There's all these mom and pops all over the place, photographers, right? I actually took photography at college. So I understand the space, and typically it's full of mom and pops, the small business owners, and make six figures, and wedding photographers, and do this and drone that and real estate this. But what you did is recognize that there was a disconnect between all these individuals, and your business model is now serving those individuals by building a large brand around it. You're just building a nice umbrella and serving those people that have never actually been served before. They'd actually have to do all that stuff themselves. So you're solving a problem, and you recognize an opportunity, and it was born from, you know, from family, like what Stacy was saying, but you quickly evolved and you took the risk, you had the guts, and you went after it. I admire that. It's pretty cool to see, and an amazing story.
Thank you.
And I love
you know what, when I think back to my nephew, sorry, just to add on that point really quick, like that was where the idea was hatched, right? It's like, it wasn't the business, but it was like, there's a moment where it's like, hey, there might be a business there might be something. And then the rest of it is all kind of like, what did you do with it after you had that idea? Did you act on it and go? And so just be aware. I think everybody should be, who's listening, and be aware when those ideas pop in, because you know, they can be life-changing.
The universe chatting with you. And I just wanted to say to Devin too, thank you for sharing your story, because it's awesome to see how you evolved your career too. And you really obviously figured out something that you truly love doing, that you are passionate about. So not just being an agent, but leveling up and getting on that marketing wagon and being the Grand Poobah that you are.
And the creative, oh my God, the creative, dude, I'm going to be picking your brain, because yeah, I'm just, oh yeah, I'm going to do that too.
Guys, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for being on Level Up Nation. It's been a delight talking to you guys. We will probably have to have you back on to deep dive into a few more of these topics, because I feel like we could have went on for about 4 more hours.
Pretty easy.
And it would have been awesome at Dustin's Lake House to do that.
Yeah.
Hot tip. All right, everyone, to everyone who's listening, thank you so much for tuning in again to Level Up Nation. And we will see you again next time.
All right. Bye for now.